It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 10th of October 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The new amendments to the Penal Code, whereby any individual caught blocking the road axes are sentenced to 3 years in prison, is set to start the implementation process on the inhabitants of the new ring road. Ilir Katirai, Gramo Shehu, and Skender Doda, like every afternoon in the last 12 months, came out to protest and block traffic for 60 minutes. But today they face police handcuffs, and it's up to the court to decide what will happen to them. This moment has brought tension to the residents of the New Ring Road, who protested in front of the Tirana Police General Directorate, where even in the past tensions have been high and debates have been fierce. Former MPs of the Democratic Party and the Socialist Movement for Integration Party were also in support of the residents. After about 2 hours of protest, residents of the New Ring Road returned home, but not without declaring their intentions for tomorrow, where they will once again rise up in protest and block the main road. We can now confirm that food contamination by salmonella was the cause of the poisoning of Postreba school students, but the person who sold it to them is still unknown. The photo provided by Ora News shows the food is being sold by a man on a bicycle near the surrounding fence. Meanwhile, the owner of the stand near the school denied the fact of selling the contaminated fast food to children. He claims to have only sold packaged products there. Since the day the children were poisoned, his stand remains closed. According to him, the cause for this is not the NFA, but the fact he does not have regular documentation. The National Food Authority says that initially they did not find any ready-made foods, but found merchandise that could have been used. Meanwhile, the health status of the poisoned students remains uncertain. The Public Health Observatory Director, Astrid Becci, confirmed the results of the analysis and has called for tighter controls on hygiene and workplace sanitation. Well, an average of 40 people a day seek medical help at the Infectious Disease Service Center due to food poisoning. Doctors say patients often experience complications as a consequence of eating fast foods. Dr. Palun Pipero points out that fast food also tends to transmit salmonella. According to physicians and dietitians, fast food consumption is risky and can lead to some such diseases, such as obesity, tumors, and cardiovascular diseases. A healthy life, for experts, should include a balanced diet rich in vegetables, fruits, and grains. Health experts also emphasize the importance of consuming home-cooked meals and have appealed to health institutions to further tighten their controls. Moving on now, the pressure from internationals has put into motion the Parliamentary Commission on Electoral Reform, focusing on concrete proposals to change the electoral code. The Socialist Party and the new opposition have set a deadline for the experts of 1 week to bring the proposals to the table based on the OSCE ODIHR recommendations. The Socialist Party seeks to expedite the reform process by dividing it into 2 phases. However, they've encountered disputes from the new opposition whose votes are essential to approve the new changes. The Socialist Party is ready to accept the Democratic Party's proposal related to the OSCE recommendations, but sources told RTV Ora that the Democratic Party headquarters will not submit any drafts as they do not recognize the Electoral Reform Commission as legitimate. Since we do not have the Democratic Party at this table, we will discuss all the issues here with a broad scope, be it with the media, DP representatives, or anyone who would like to attend. So any recommendation made by the Electoral Reform Commission can be discussed before this committee, said Damian Gignori. There will be no 2-phase reform. There will be comprehensive reform, and we have already agreed on this. It doesn't stop with us from discussing the issues in the OSCE ODIHR recommendations, and it doesn't stop us from discussing the changes to the system. When it comes to approval, it will be jointly approved, said Rudina Haidari. The parliamentary minority is determined to change the electoral system regardless of the time it may take. The Democratic Party's proposal for a special structure for electoral reform has not been taken into consideration by the Socialists, as they see it as a political proposal and not relevant to OSCE recommendations. Moving on to Bulgaria, Bulgaria has given the green light for opening negotiations for Albania and North Macedonia's membership in the European Union. The document was approved on Thursday by the Bulgarian parliament with 129 votes for and just 4 votes against out of a total of 240. For Albania, the framework declaration calls for mutual respect of the Bulgarian national minority, as well as teaching in their mother tongue in areas where the country's minority traditionally lives, such as in Gor, Prespa, Korcha, Elbasan, and Kukis. The conditions on this vote require, among other things, that future population censuses objectively reflect the country's ethnic composition. For the North Macedonian side, the requirements are stricter, and in addition to minority rights, include the renunciation of geographical or historical claims against Bulgaria, and hate speech in textbooks or billboards. It is emphasized that the conditions for both countries must be met before the opening of the first chapter of negotiations with Brussels. Speaking after a cabinet meeting the day before, Foreign Minister Etaterin Zaharieva said that the declaration spelled out support for the start of EU accession negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania, because excluding them would be a mistake that could lead to instability in the region. Conditions for negotiations have been officially announced earlier by countries such as Germany and the Netherlands. As the preliminary ruling of October 15th approaches, 2 German Bundestag MPs are visiting Albania and North Macedonia. The Social Democrats Metin Hajverdi and Christian Petri told the German media organization Deutsche Welle on Thursday that member states are likely to unify their pro-negotiation stances as soon as next week. Well, brain drain from Albania remains at alarmingly high levels. Data provided by the World Bank shows that Albanian citizens with higher education make up 40% of the total number of immigrants who have chosen to leave Albania. According to the World Bank report, the factors that have pushed them to leave include higher wages in the European Union, more opportunities for professional advancement and training, better prospects for family members such as educational opportunities for their children, and overall, better living and working conditions. According to the official data, in the first 9 months of this year alone, about 1,000 doctors and nurses have left the country to seek better opportunities in the European Union. Albania's situation is even comparable to that of Kazakhstan's. The report notes that such ongoing trends are often a symptom rather than a cause of the underlying problem. To solve the problem of brain drain, the World Bank suggests improving governance and strengthening institutions in the countries of origin that are long-term policies. These include encouraging the private sector and creating new jobs, investing in higher education, and increasing opportunities for women in the economy. Another concern is the high level of poverty. Although there has been an increase in the number of employees in Albania, it is noted that poverty still remains high, as 34.6% of Albanians are estimated to live below $5.50 per day in 2019, the same level as the country of Georgia. Albania is included in the list of the poorest nations. In Croatia, only 4% of the population there lives below $5.50. In Bulgaria, it's 7%. In Kazakhstan, it's 8.4%. And in neighboring Kosovo, only 18.5% of the population lives below $5.50 per day, as compared to Albania. At the first meeting of the initiative set by the head of state titled "I Am Arborish," President Meta expressed this necessity to preserve the values and traditions of the Arborish community. The president said that the best mechanism to advance this initiative is through educating younger generations so that they can get to know their past better. As Minister of the Diaspora, Pandeli Maiko was critical of the lack of dedicated institution concentrated solely on the Arborish, saying that the Center for Studies and Publications will be operational by January of next year. Praising the president's initiative, researcher Mokim Zecho said that the beginnings of Albania's largest cultural event are related to the Arborish. The initiative by the head of state is aimed at promoting, preserving, and developing the Arborish spoken and literary language, teaching it in schools, but also the twinning between Albanian and Arborist municipalities, thus promoting scientific research and the promotion of the Arborish culture. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and have a good night.